Hi there, in this video we're going to learn visual effects and interactivity tools. The first one adds effects like drop shadow, border, or remove a color like a green screen. The last tool is used to create a quiz, usually at the end of a video. Alright, let's start the video with visual effects. Well, I've added a paintbrush from the Camtasia library to the timeline area. Now, I can grab and drop the shadow effect. I can drag it to the paintbrush here, or to the paintbrush inside the timeline area. Either way, it added a little bit of a shadow. My canvas size is very large. I am working at 1920 by 1080. Thus, I need to have a bigger drop shadow. So, let's go to the Properties panel. The offset value indicates how far the shadow is from the paintbrush. The next field determines the inserted shadow opacity. For the blur feature, I like a little bit more blur than Camtasia give me by default. OK. As you can see, I can change the shadow angle easily. Alright, let me delete the shadow effect, and use the next one. The border effect. Well, I can't see anything right now, because, as I mentioned before, my canvas size is very large. I need to change the border color, and also increase its thickness. Alright, let's test the next visual effect, the Colorize Effect. As you can see, by default, this effect colorizes anything that you apply it to green. Now, let's have a blue paintbrush. Also, I can change the amount parameter. Let me change it to see its effect. OK. The next effect, color adjustment, can help us to improve our video color too. It has more parameters than the previous effect. You can see again, the inserted effect comes up with some defaults. First, let's change its parameters to 0. Now, the paintbrush doesn't have any effect. Well, let's change these parameters to see their effects. Saturation, or quality, relates to the degree of purity of a color. Contrast is defined as the separation between the darkest and brightest areas of the image. It can increase the separation between dark and bright, making shadows darker and highlights brighter. Note that, saturation is similar to contrast, however instead of increasing the separation between shadows and highlights, it increases the separation between colors. The first parameter, brightness, just make the image brighter or darker by a specified amount. Well, let me use this effect for the main video too. Now, let's change these parameters. Alright, you might prefer this video, rather than the original video. Well, I prefer to use original media files. Let me remove inserted effects. As you can see, this effect can remove the background of your videos or images. Actually, it removes a specific color. Well, let me add this video to the timeline area. Note that, you can find similar videos on the internet. As you see, it asks viewers to click on the YouTube subscribe button. First, let me adjust its size and position on the canvas. Naturally, I don't want this green background. So, I need to use this effect. Now, let me play the video. As you can see, the green color has been removed from the entire video. Well, on the Properties panel, I can select any color. For example, the red color. Note that, for a more complex video, you may need to change some default values, like the color tolerance or its softness. Now, let's see the next visual effect. Device frame. As you can see, the paintbrush has been placed on a monitor. Here I can select another device like iPhone, MacBook, or open the Camtasia website, and use other device frames. Alright, the next effect, clip speed, was explained in the previous video, when we were working with audio effects. Let's now talk about interactive hotspots. This effect creates a place on your video, where something can happen if the user clicks there. First, let me insert a PLC Goods logo from my library. Now, let me add the interactive hotspot effect to the inserted logo. As you see, here are some options related to the effect. First, we have this option to pause. It might be that we have a question for our viewers and we don't want the video to continue on, and not have them answer the question. So, in this case, we can say let's pause at the end of this thing. The end of my logo is here. So, it would pause the video here, until the user clicks on it. The next option can open an URL address. Here we can direct someone to a specific website. By default, you can see techsmith.com. Let me change it. Also, most of the time we want to open the website in a new browser tab. Now, let me click on the test icon. So, if the viewer clicks on the yellow logo, this website will open. Now, let's go to the marker option. I can't select it, because I don't have any marker inside my project. So, let's add 2 markers. Now, let's select the PLC Goods logo, and go to the marker option. As you see, at this time, I can select a marker. Now, let's click on the test icon. Well, the playhead has gone to the first marker. Alright, if there isn't any marker, another way to jump the video to another position is to write its time here, or place the playhead on the desired position, and then click here to read its current time. Finally, we can just choose click to continue, and that means the video is paused. It won't go anywhere, until I click on the inserted logo. Let me select the URL option. Note that, I used the interactive hotspot effect for a certain object, for the inserted PLC Goods logo. Also, I can determine an area on the main video, using this annotation, which its name is Interactive Hotspot 2. As you see, the inserted annotation have the same parameters. Now, I must determine where I need it. Note that, this black logo is part of the main video. So, I won't able to add the interactive hotspot to the black logo. Instead of that, I can use the inserted annotation, to determine this area of the main video. Alright, now, if I click on this area of the main video, the URL address will open. The next step is to determine the duration time of the inserted annotation. Well, after this time, I won't have the black logo. The last point about the interactive hotspot is you cannot use it for any format. The recommended format is MP4 Smart Player. If I select another format, the interactive hotspot won't be used. I'll explain available formats in the next video. Now, let's learn the last tool. Interactivity. Here, we can define some questions as a quiz. It can be usually at the end of the video, to test the viewer's knowledge. Note that, here are two choices. The first one, add a quiz to the timeline. Another one adds a quiz to the selected media. But what's their difference? To see their difference, let me move this video. As you see, the first quiz related to the timeline is not moving. Note that, here, I can select quiz. And then add a quiz everywhere I want. I can add it to the timeline or to a media file. Alright, let me delete inserted quizzes. I want to add one quiz at the end of my video. Well, let me press these keys on my keyboard. I've explained this shortcut before. Here, the main video is ended. So, let's add a quiz here. As you can see, here are 4 different questions. Let's start with the first type, multiple choice. Here, I can write a question related to the video, and then determine all possible answers, either correct or not, and then select the correct one. Note that, after each question, I can enable display feedback. Here, for each viewer's answer, either correct or incorrect, I can determine an action. Continue, open a URL, or jump to a specified time or marker. Let me disable display feedback, and add another question. The next question type is fill in the blank. Usually, its answer is 1 or 2 words in a sentence. Well, the correct answer is Arduino Mega 2560. The next question type is short answer. For this question type, viewers can write any answer, and it doesn't have a special correct answer. The last type is the true-false question. This question has 2 answers. True or false, and we can determine the correct answer. For example, suppose the correct answer to the last question is true. Now, click here, to see the quiz options. Here, I can change the quiz name, and also enable or disable these checkboxes. Now, I can click on the preview button, or click here, to test the designed quiz. So, at this time, these questions will appear for the video viewer. Let me answer them as a viewer. As you see, after the last question, I can see my score, and also click here to see correct answers. Alright, like the interactive hotspot, we won't able to use quizzes for any output format. In the next video, I'll explain them. Thanks for watching my content. If you have any question on this topic, make sure you leave them in the comment section below, and if you can spend a few seconds of your time liking as well as sharing this video, if you enjoyed it, that will mean a lot to me. If you have any suggestions for the channel, such as what kind of hardware or software I should be covering, then make sure to leave that in the comment section. See you next time. Bye bye.